Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Sorry I haven't made a video in over a month now, but I'm going to start getting back into the groove now. So today we're going to be talking about the asparagus fern. This beauty over here is a beautiful indoor plant. It can give some modernness and some sleek into your home, and they are really easy to care for. So scientifically known as the Asparagus aethiopicus. So I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that's how I think you should pronounce it. It is native to southern Africa and also Namibia and also partly Botswana. The plant has a bit of a bulbous rootstock, very tuberous root system, and you can actually divide this particular plant by dividing its actual bulbs. So you can actually see parts of the root system here. You can see the bulbous roots, and this also allows the plant to adapt to being able to withstand some drier seasons. So with this plant, as it is native to most of the drier countries in Africa, they are going to be at risk of a drought. So this is one of their survival techniques of actually being able to survive a drought. So I don't water this plant too often, and I will water it once the entire pot is actually dry. So what I'll do is I'll use one of the two methods. The first method is the finger method. So what I'll do is I'll place my finger right down into the soil all the way to the second knuckle. If it comes back with soil on it and you can feel the moisture, then the plant doesn't need to be watered. If it comes back and there's no soil stuck to your finger whatsoever, that means the soil is dry and the plant should need some watering. Remember, after you've watered your plants, if you have a drip tray underneath, you need to empty that drip tray, as it will cause the plant to have wet feet, and most plants don't like to have wet feet, and it can cause numerous issues with your plants, such as root rot and a whole fungus and all of those sorts of nasty things which you don't want to actually have to happen with your plants. So be preventative and throw out the tray. I always let them sit overnight just so that it allows them to soak up all the water, and as I find, if I just water quickly and throw it out, that'll actually leave some dry bits in the soil. So if your soil is extremely dry and you water, it will actually become almost resistant to the water, so you need to let it soak in the water. And that's about watering for this plant. You can also do the weight test. If you pick up your pot and you feel that it's light, that usually means that it needs moisture, but if it is heavy, I would rather back off from the watering. If you're not sure if it needs water or not, always use the 1-day rule. Don't water it, give it another day. That won't really do any damage if it needs water or not. The plant actually grows on the forest floor in their natural habitat, so they are therefore considered to be a low light plant. They can withstand some direct sunlight, but the sunlight mustn't be too harsh. It mustn't be hot afternoon sun. This is just going to burn up and crisp all the delicate leaves that they have. So you just want to keep them away from the direct afternoon sun. So remember, low light doesn't mean no light. Every plant needs some sort of light in order to photosynthesize. So that is one of the misconceptions that people think, is if a plant is low light that it doesn't need light, but it actually does need light, because every plant needs light to grow. So I have my plant next to my bed over there, and it is about 3 meters away from the window, 3.5 meters away from the window, and it does get about direct afternoon sun for 20 minutes every single day, but the sun that it gets is as the sun is setting, so it's very low. Also have my LED lights that go all the way around, so that will provide the plant with about 6 to 8 hours of LED lights, and there is a UV setting, so plants need blue and red light in order to grow, and there is a UV color on there, so I assume, and I'm pretty sure, that it does help with this. I got this plant about 6 months ago. It was a gift from my boyfriend, so it is a very special plant to me. It's probably one of the most special plants in my collection, as he gave it to me the first time we met, and I am going to treasure it and keep it forever. I do get stressed sometimes as it has a tendency to actually shed. This plant, asparagus ferns, do shed their leaves. There are many different types of asparagus ferns. This is just one of them. I don't have any of the others. So you can see over here that one of the stems has actually started to die off. Don't panic, it's just the plant regenerating, and it's allowing the dead old growth to die off and is moving on to letting the new growth form. So you can actually see over here is a piece of new growth. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, over there's a new stem coming through. And these plants actually are climbers and trailers as well. So they can actually wrap around vines that are growing on the forest floor. I have seen this myself. We have an indigenous forest next to us, and when I go walking through the indigenous forest, I actually can see these plants in their natural habitat and how they're growing up. This is just one of their adaptations to allow it to get more sunlight in the forest. So as you can see, I have started the process of allowing this plant to trail. I have placed a wooden stake in it, and you can actually see that it's already started to grow around it. It is a pretty prolific grower. It grows quite fast given the right conditions, and I'm absolutely in love with this plant. I think it's beautiful. It's very dainty and delicate, and it's it is probably my favorite plant, not just because of the sentimental value, but also because of the look that it has. So this plant also needs well draining soil. I have mine in some organic compost here and some perlite. As I said, the plant doesn't want too much water, but it does like to have soil moist, so it's a bit of a combination. I always leave the pot dry because I have a tendency to overwater my plants, so I'll let it dry completely, and that works fine with the plant. It's perfectly happy. It's just grown new leaves and it's looking very happy. So I'm quickly going to show you guys where I'm keeping it at the moment and just give you a rough reference as to where I'm keeping it. So this is roughly where the plant is, next to my bed. And sorry, my room is very messy, but the afternoon sunlight will come here and the sun will set over there and will come directly into here, and we'll get about 20 minutes of afternoon sun. And you can see the LED lights here give it a nice amount of light during the night. So I'm just going to quickly show you the UV lighting that I have here. Here is the UV lighting. You can see the color here. When it is night, it actually glows. Everything glows in the dark. So this I find is pretty helpful with growing this plant where it's not very close to the window, but it has proven to help my plants a lot. And yeah. So now that I've given you a rough idea as to where my plant is in comparison with the light that I get in my room, I'm just going to give you guys a rough pruning guide on how you can prune these plants. So this asparagus fern isn't actually considered a fern by botanists. They are just classifying it, the people are just saying that it's a fern because it gives a look like a fern, but it's much easier to care for than a fern. So if I go and I cut a stem here, which I'm not going to do, it will then grow off shoots. With a normal fern, that wouldn't actually happen. The fern would most likely die. So if I go and I cut off this piece over here, it will send up a whole lot of shoots here. So you can see this piece over here is dying. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to go to the base and I'm just going to snip it off. So you can see it's already started to go a yellowish color and it's not looking too healthy. So instead of it draining the energy from the plant, I'm just going to take it off to allow for new space to grow through. So this plant is very easy to care for. You can trim the edges if you want it to be more compact. You can trim the height. If you do give it stakes to trail along, it will actually grow a lot taller. So that's what I'm aiming to do. I've started to teach it how to trail, but it's a fairly easy plant to grow. I must say that it doesn't really tolerate with very cold weather. Although we do get frost here, they are protected in the places that they are growing. When I mean protected, the canopy of the trees is protecting them, giving them a layer of insulation, and all the leaves are protecting the bulbous roots, and it's protecting the plant from getting frost and dying. So this plant doesn't really cope well with too cold of weather. So if you're living somewhere overseas where you get snow, I wouldn't recommend leaving it outside in the winter time. I would bring it inside. I don't have any problems with pests on this plant at all. It's a very resilient plant. It's a very forgiving plant, and I would really highly recommend it as a first plant for beginners, to be honest. And yeah, I'm in love with this plant. I think it's so easy to care for. It's in a beautiful little pot, and it does need some repotting. I see there's some roots coming through, but where it can survive being root bound. I mean, it's very small in comparison with its actual pot, so the root ball can't be that big as I've just repotted it. So I'm not going to be repotting it anytime soon. And yes, that concludes the end of this growing tutorial guide on this Asparagus Aethiopicus, and I hope you guys have an amazing day today and that you're all keeping healthy and staying safe from corona. Yeah, please feel free to like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a great day, guys. Bye.